Hello there! My name is Ryan Fuller, and I am one of the boys. How are you doing today? Good! That's great. And if you didn't say good or great or something positive, I hope that your day can turn around and get, just a little bit better for you. Today is actually a pretty solid day for me so far. It is my birthday. So yeah, thank you to all my friends and family who have given me some awesome birthday wishes. I really appreciate that. Love you all, and yeah, thank you for being great, making me a happy boy, a happy friend. I'm happy to be here because of you and other people as well. So today, to mark the beginning of my 21st lap around the sun, I wanted to kind of go back and look at some activities that I found a lot of joy in. And those activities would actually happen to be my theatrical performances. I did one in elementary school, I did one in middle school, and then I did a lot more in high school. Theater is something that I've always had a lot of fun with, and I kind of was hoping to maybe get back into soon, now that I'm in college. But we're still figuring that out, so if it happens, it happens. If not, it's okay. We'll get through it. But I just wanted to go through and show you guys a tier list, my personal ranking of all the shows and musicals that I've been a part of. And I just wanted to talk about them, and yeah, so here we are. I'll first go through the categories. First, we have an 11 out of 10. Such a great time. Would do it again right now if I could. That's going to be like S tier or whatever. Awesome show. Lots of fun. A tier. Good show. Some flaws, but overall good. That's going to be my B. Alright show. Could have been better. That's my C. And not a fun show. Did not enjoy that much. That is going to be my D/F. Don't really have enough shows under my belt to really have two separate categories for D and F. But, yeah. So here we go. I think I'm just going to go in order. Up first is James and the Giant Peach. I did this show in middle school, actually. And basically it's about this kid who, he basically, it's kind of similar to like the Jack and the Beanstalk. Like he gets this huge peach, it's like a magic peach, and then there's like giant bugs. But anyways, it'd probably be an alright show, and it could have been better. In the show, I was not like a named character really, or I had a name, but it was like generic. It was like I was Old Man. And there's a clip of me in this show, opening day, just falling down after I give my line, like really badly. And like all the parents just laugh at me and everything because it's like a cute little 13, whatever, 10-year-old falling down. And it was funny, but it was just an alright thing. It kind of probably swayed me from theater in middle school for a lot longer than I wanted it to. The next one would be Seussical Jr. This is a middle school or elementary school show for the regular show Seussical. So it's like a step below. It's like less complicated themes, shorter time period or whatever, and like less songs. But it was really, really fun, actually. It was I did it my 8th grade year, so the end of my middle school year, and it's honestly what shot me into doing theater in high school. And I just remember that's where I honestly made a lot of my, like a huge group of my friends was during Seussical Jr. Like I remember hanging out with like the same like six or like 5 kids every single day for Seussical, and just because we got along so well, and they became my friends in high school too. So yeah, I think it's gonna get an A tier, because it was just a lot of fun. I played Horton the Elephant, which was very cool. It was actually a lead role, which was super cool because it's like, I don't know, you don't get that opportunity to be a bigger character with kind of minimal experience. But then again, it's middle school, so it's like they'll take anyone. So it was really fun though. So yeah. The next show I did was called For Feet's Sake, and I know I'm holding The Little Mermaid, but basically For Feet's Sake, I think it was like, it's the story of The Little Mermaid, but it's got more comedy to it, and like, whatever. In this show, I was the Machiavellian prince, so I was just this snarky, stuck-up kind of a-hole guy, and like the end of the show has me, I fall in love with the wrong girl and whatnot. It was a pretty good show overall. I'm gonna give it the B tier just because I think when I first got into the show, I was a little disappointed, but in the end, I think it helped set the stage for a lot of the characters I would be receiving in other shows. Oh, the next show, was it that one? I think it was the Clumsy Custard horror show. The photo is sideways because, again, I don't think it's not that popular of a show, and I think it's a parody of the Rocky Picture horror show, or I forget the name of it, but I think it's a parody. I don't actually know. Maybe they're just similar. In this show, I was the character Arnis Boheme, and it was really fun because I was able to break the fourth wall a lot. Like, that was my whole character. Is like I sat my intro. I sat in the audience with everyone, and like I went up only when I felt the crowd was cheering enough for my name, and that was super fun. I also remember I got to do a really, it was difficult at the time because we're good friends, and like we had to get up like in each other's grill and be like, yo, hey, like what, like we just had to yell at each other face to face. It was really hard to do in practice, but eventually, you know, you get it because you have to. But it was a really fun show overall. The one thing, though, I wish that is... So, in order to fit enough people into the show, we had to split some of the lines up for some of the characters where they didn't really need the lines. And my character was one of the ones that had their lines split up. But, which sucks, because I was like, oh, I want more lines, da-da-da-da-da. But... it was still really fun with the people who I ended up splitting lines with, and it was a good time overall. So, yeah. Then I think the next show is A Christmas Carol, actually. Very pretty show. It's super gorgeous to look at. I had a lot of fun with it just because it was the first show where I was running around, I was costume changing and singing, and I was in a lot of bigger dance numbers. Super fun. I got to do this. I played young Ebenezer, so like when Ebenezer Scrooge goes back in time and he sees like the young version of himself falling in love with this woman, I got to basically fall in love with this girl and then have my heart broken in the same like 15 minutes and just become a rage monster. And then after that, I was a side character and I got to just dance and do all these fun things. So really fun show. Loved the costumes. It was a blast. Yeah. Just overall a good time. Now the next show is Citizen's Arrest. This was another shorter one-act show, much like For Feet's Sake. It was a comedy, and I played this character who I was placed under citizen's arrest, and the whole show basically builds off of this one woman, like a total Karen, just coming up and citizens arresting me for littering, even though I didn't actually litter, and it's like the whole thing, like it builds, and then there's another bystander that becomes like the judge, then there becomes like this whole courtroom scene out in this park, and basically the show is me like getting super gaslit to believe maybe I did litter, and I'm getting arrested by it, and I'm just so annoyed. And honestly, it was we had such a strong cast for all the kids that were in there. Like in our theater, we had a really just strong group of actors and actresses in that show specifically, and it was really fun. I was a little annoyed with how I got put into this show because I really wanted to be a part of this competition show that our school has going on at the same time as this one act. And I was like, it's like, oh, great, I'm going to be in another comedy show, even though, because I wanted these more serious projects and everything. But I'm so happy that, you know, I stuck with it and it went through the way it did, because it was honestly really fun working with everyone, and it was a good time. So I think it's gonna go on the top of B tier. So following Citizen's Arrest, what do we have? Oh, we had quite possibly my favorite show of all of them, A Midsummer Night's Dream. This show was so good. I loved it. It was a show where I was it's a Shakespeare show, and Shakespeare in this show wrote it so it's like there's kind of two narratives going on at one time. One narrative is with these princesses and these princes, and kind of like they're like running away from home, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't really remember their part because it was their section of the story. And then there's another section though that I was a part of, and I was Nick Bottom, and we were the players. Like, we were a bunch of actors getting ready to put on a show for this royalty. And throughout it, there's these fairies causing all these problems for the two different stories, and it was so much fun. Because being Nick Bottom in that show, I literally just got to like ham up everything that I did. Everything was literally I could try and be as obnoxious as possible with, like, oh my goodness. And then there's this whole scene at the end where when we're doing our show in front of the like the royalty members at the end, and it's just such a joy, because we had this one character who's like a really good friend. Her name is Olivia. She was the wall, and she would stand there, and she had like this huge, basically just wearing a cardboard box, like a tall, skinny cardboard box, and really wide. And she would have to stand like this in between me and this other girl who were like separated but like madly in love with each other. But it's hard to describe, but it was such a fun show. Like, it's probably my favorite show of all of the shows I've done, which is super weird because it's like it's Shakespeare, and it could be really hard to love Shakespeare, but it was a fun challenge trying to convey Shakespeare to just to like a normal audience, because it can be hard to follow just like on your own reading, trying to comprehend the language and like the interpretations of what Shakespeare was going for. But being able to do that successfully and have people laugh at the lines that you're intending to be funny just feels so good, and it was just such a fun time. So 11 out of 10, 100%. I loved that show so much. The next show that I did was Sister Act. Now, Sister Act was a very, very popular musical for a lot of my castmates, and the pit as well. Just really some banger songs in there, and just a fun time overall. In this show, I was cast as the villain, and it just was hard to love the show, because when you're the villain, it's like, I can't be a side character. I can't like be a part of the fun big numbers. I can't be a part of the costume changes or whatnot, because, you know, if they see me on the screen, it's like, what's the main bad guy doing there? You know, I think a lot of people had a really fun time with the show, and it was it looked like it was a lot of fun, but again, it just looked like that for me, because I didn't really get to do a whole lot in it. I had two really fun numbers with a lot of the guys that I was really close with in theater, because like we were like the four main bad guys. Like, I was the head bad guy, and then they were like my underlings, and those guys are so funny. It was super fun to act with them on stage. So I'm gonna put it in B, but then I'm also gonna bring down probably For Feet's Sake. But it was good. It was fun. There were fun times. It was just like really sad seeing everyone have these big dancing numbers, and I just had to sit there and like just work on my own my one or two numbers that I had. But fun character though. That was the biggest part. Fun character with that one. And then the next show after that was the next winter one act. So this was my junior year, if you're following a timeline at all. This is my junior year, and it was called Trifles. Now, this show was very interesting. It was my first what felt like really like serious and a show that required a lot more like thought out characters, and just, you know, you really had to understand what your character was doing in every scene. And our director was phenomenal for this all too, so he was just great to work with. We ended up going to, we went on to sections after like the first elimination round, because this was our competition one act, so it could like progress from sections to state and so forth and so on and so forth. My friend Andrew Daniels, I remember he has this killer monologue from it. It was just so fun to watch, and it was a really fun show to work on, I think, overall. So I think it's gonna go probably right here. Yep, right before Christmas Carol and just after Seussical Jr. Really fun show just to be a part of. And there was only 5 of us in the cast, so that's honestly what made it super fun too, is just the small number and how much we got to work with our director on it. So good time, really good time. To wrap up my junior year, we had the show The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. This show was another kind of fun show. I got to be Mr. Beaver in it, and we had, at the time, what I thought were like very like kind of embarrassing, but you know, it's theater, you have to get embarrassed sometimes. But super fun time just getting to be these super cartoonish characters, and I don't think I had any like huge flaws with it. It was just like, I think there was just more fun shows than that one that we did, so it's probably gonna be just a B tier. It wasn't anything crazy special, but it was like another kind of show to have on the books, I'd say. So then here we are, we're entering my senior year of high school, and the first show that we did was our musical. It was our fall musical, and we did Mamma Mia, and this show absolutely banged. There's so many good things about this show. The 2 lead women are Donna, Miss Olivia Nelson, and our Sophie, Bella Merwin. Those 2 did a killer job. So much fun, like doing any of the scenes with them, even the ones where like I'm getting berated by Donna. I was Sam in this one. I was like one of the 3 dads, and I got to working with the other 2 dads, Brendan Higby and again Nicholas Decker. Super fun time. So much fun acting with those guys. Just everything about this show was so much fun. Costumes were great, especially the end ones. We got these like Power Ranger suits, basically. Just nothing but an absolute blast. I literally loved it. So yeah, definite S tier for sure. And then our next show is The Wedding by Anton Chekhov, I believe. Super interesting show. This was another competition show. There was about, I want to say 12 of us or so in this. And in this competition show, it was so much fun. We were like the first show from our high school in like, gosh, it must have been, I think it was like 20 something years. Maybe I'm hyper, maybe that's a hyperbole. A hyperbole. There it is. Maybe it's a hyperbole. But I'm pretty sure it was like 22 years since one of our shows went on to our state finals, and we went the farthest you could for any show. So it was just, I loved it so much. It was such a blast. Lot of just like, it was just chaos, kind of like trying to learn the show, and then once you kind of got it, like it started to be more fun. And I just remember the cast was like just such a rock solid crew, and I wish I could go back and do this show again. So that's just another 11 out of 10. Super fun time. I really enjoyed it. And then we have our last show that we ever did. It was I Never Saw Another Butterfly. And this show, I accidentally dragged it down there. It's fine. It's actually where it's gonna stay. But I Never Saw Another Butterfly was okay. I think it was probably my least favorite show that I've done. It's probably honestly tied with James and the Giant Peach down at the bottom. Just because in the show, it's the show about the Holocaust, which is a very serious and complicated thing to perform about. Because every day in rehearsal, basically, you have to be focused in this, kind of depressing state. And it was hard to do. In the show, however, I was a German guard. I was like a Nazi watching over the concentration camp. So every single day I had to like build this hatred of the people, of like my friends and such, that I would look down and I'd scream at them. However, the real kicker to the show that really brought it down here was it was during COVID. And so after we practiced doing this on stage for a really long time, and then come like our 3 or 4 weeks from showtime, we had to switch it to an online performance. So we all submitted videos of ourselves doing our lines, and thank you to the person who edited that, but it's just so hard to get a good show online when you're all, because like we all were separate, we're all at our own houses, so it was just really difficult to be like, oh man, I don't know, it was just it was a tough show to be like, oh man, can't wait to do that again, because whatever. But overall, this is my tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed. I apologize if any of my descriptions of my shows were bad. I think overall, I'm very thankful for every show I did, because you kind of learn you learn something from every show you do. So yeah, I'm very thankful for the opportunities that I was given in those shows, and looking to the future, I hope I can maybe get a couple more under my belt, maybe do something. I've been looking at film, that'd be a fun thing, but right now I'm just gonna keep grinding out YouTube videos. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe, share this video if you found it interesting, share it with a friend. Preferably don't share it with anyone in the theater. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but no, just kidding. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next week. Bye.